All right, I had to do a part 2, and I'm going to pack a whole bunch of stuff in here just for y'all. What I was trying to say about this whole argument is that the people's name was Yamassee. I'm going to prove it. And I know none of y'all on here who came in here in my comments know any of this stuff, so I'm about to King of Clubs ether you. Guale is a location. It's not a people. There are no Guale Indians. Guale is a location. Ogeechee is a river. There are no Geechee Gullah people. I was trying to tell you that the names come from indigenous places. And then they invented, I'm about to show you who, when, and how they invented Gullah Geechee people. The name of the people in this area is Yamasee. Guale is Hitchti, which got dropped down into Muskogean, which is a dialect of Hitchti. Gua means water. Le means land. People of the land by the water. They were describing geography. Ogeechee, river of the She. And so I'm about to go into this and explain this really quickly. All right, remember the book cover, Murder and Martyrdom in Spanish Florida, Don Juan and the Guale Uprising of 1597. This is a book, secondhand resource. Now watch this from the University of Georgia. They're going to replace Guale with what? Same year, 1597, the Yamasee Revolt and the destruction of the Georgia missions. By who? J.G. Johnson, M.A., University of Georgia. Georgia Historical Quarterly. Why would the whole University of Georgia historians call the people Yamasee of the 1597 revolt, and then an independent author called the people Guale? Before we continue, let's establish that they're not $5 Indians. Original, the Dutch talking about the 1715 revolt. They came 115 years later. Look at the Yamasee. Look at them. You can see them. Look at them. You can see them. Look at them. They're black. The Yamasee were black. Oh, you don't believe me? Well, I'm going to let you 14th Amendment citizens report to your government. Let your government report what the Yamasee were. Hold on one second. Source: hearings before the Joint Commission of Congress of the United States, 63rd Congress to investigate Indian affairs, September 15th, 1913, December 6th through 1914. And in this report, they say what? The Yamasee Indians were Negroes. Let's blow it up. Yamasee Indians were Negroes. Let's stretch it out. And what does it say? The Yamasee Indians were Negroes that were known afterwards of the fiercest Indian tribes in the South. Fiercest because they kicked out the English and almost destroyed the colony in 1715. They did the same thing in 1597. So this is a quote from the Georgia Report. The revival came in 1593. During that year, the Council of the Indies granted permission to the 12 French Franciscans to enter Florida. Now, Florida was Georgia, the whole area, and South Carolina. Following the year, Pedro de Corpa, Miguel de Hernan, Francisco Velascola, all these names, whatever. Go down here. The Guale Indians had rebelled against the Spaniards, and so dangerous had their hostility become that the soldiers of the small garrisons found it impossible to leave the stockades. Guale was the location. This was the Yamasee fighting in 1597 and 1715, and they were Negroes, and they weren't from Africa. How did they get here? Now let me calm down and explain something very important. You see these colonists? They are British subjects, white people fighting black people. But the rulership during this time in England was black. The black people had the white people as British subjects working the plantations. And they started getting into conflict with the jurisdictions of black Indians or aboriginals or whatever you want to call them. They were melanated people. That's the context. And that's the context you're missing from history. You thought the leadership was white. The leadership in Great Britain and all those areas was black, and they had white people as slaves, and these were slaves, subjects, fighting free indigenous people in these pictures. Let's go to another area. This is Florida. Giovanni Volpeto, 18th century depiction of Florida Aboriginals. Black, beards. They were all over Florida, South, what we're calling Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, And their origination and hub was Alabama. That's where you get the name Yamassee from. Hold on. The word is a compound word, Yamassee. Yamassee. This word had multiple meanings among indigenous peoples of the Americas. In the Muskogean Creek language, it is in their name for the Mobilian trade jargon and the indigenous people who lived on the lower Mobile River in present-day Alabama, where you had who? Tuscaloosa, black warrior. Alibamu, that's a tribe. Yama, let's show you what the end of the word name so you will understand why they even had this name. Let's go to the Seminoles, who are a fake tribe. The Seminoles were Yamasee. They're not Cimarroons or all the other stuff. The name Osceola, who's a chief, a Seminole leader, means black drink crier. It is derived from the Muskogee Creek name Asi Yahola, where Asi refers to the ceremonial black drink. Do you know what this black drink actually was? We're about to talk about it. Yapon Holly holds a significant place in Native American culture, particularly in southeastern United States, where it was used for a variety of purposes, including a caffeinated beverage, medicinal applications, and ceremonial ritual. It's the only native caffeinated plant in North America, and Native Americans have utilized its leaves for thousands of years. So they were called Yamassee because they were keepers of medicine. Look at this. Yapon was used in sacred ceremonies, friendship rituals, and purification rituals, often involving drinking and purging. The plant leaves were used for medicinal purposes, including calming nerves, purifying water, and inducing appetite. Yapon tea was also a social drink. This is kind of not giving the real picture, but the Yamasee were keepers of the medicine. They were the chiefs of the medicine. This is why they were so against the invasions. They understood it and they said it. Watch this. All right, this is from the same article from Georgia, but I'm just going to read the quote. Now the father is dead, but he would not have been if he had allowed us to live as we did before we became Christians. Let us return to our former customs. This is 1597. They're saying this. And prepare to defend ourselves against the punishment which the governor of Florida will try to inflict upon us. For if he succeeds in it, he will be as rigorous for this one father as though we had made an end of them all. For he will surely persecute us for the father we have killed. So he was killing off the priests, and it was like, we want to go back to our original religion. Y'all coming in here trying to get us to become Christians, etc. Rebellion. All right, so this is the guy. Lorenzo Dow Turner was the guy who created this concept of Gullah Geechee. And he was a Harvard professor or whatever, and what was he doing? In the early 1930s, Lorenzo Dow Turner recorded a song that Islander Amelia Dawley had taught by her mother, Octavia Tauber Shaw, who was born into slavery. Dawley taught the song to her own daughter, Mary Moran, who became the last person in the United States to know the song, which would link her to a small village in where? Sierra Leone. Keep that in mind. Nova Scotia as a starting point. In the late 1700s, Nova Scotia, then part of British North America. Remember, the black people were ruling Britain, sending the white people as subjects. Became a destination for various groups of people, including black loyalists. They're saying former slaves who fought for the British during the American Revolution. They were not slaves. They were aboriginals. And the reason why they sided with Great Britain, because the leadership had made treaties with them, and their subjects, these Americans who were slaves, created the Declaration of Independence and revolted. So they were sending aboriginals to Nova Scotia. Over time, many of these people, including some from Nova Scotia and others who had arrived from elsewhere, expressed dissatisfaction with their conditions and desired a new beginning. This led to a mass migration to Africa. These people were Americans who got shipped to Sierra Leone, and that Creole language was learned here. And so what y'all are confused about is y'all think that Gullah Geechee is connected to Sierra Leone, and you don't realize the Sierra Leone people came from the goddamn Americas. There is no Gullah Geechee. Gullah Geechee is a fiction created from Yamasee, Guale, and Ogeechee.